Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
And Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is on the ones and twos. And we have a great show for you today. Are we all
do.
On? How do we sound? Do we look good? I know I look good. How do we sound? Is everything good? My mic is sideways. Is that better like there? All right. Okay. Gotcha. Johnny is setting me straight over here. Says, don't get too crazy. Don't get too energized. Don't get too loud. But I already had several cups of coffee already, and it's the good coffee.
I can tell.
Yep. I did a show today with Jason Burmis. It's on his ROKFIN and on his YouTube. Go check it on out. We talked for about an hour. It was a great conversation. My man just made the trip from New York to Iowa. He was talking about he got out of Dodge. He went to Iowa, so now he's living the life out over there. And I said, Fam was in Iowa for the election, for the primary, following that stuff, because Fam knows activists all around this great nation.
He moved from here to Iowa?
New York.
Oh, man.
New York to Iowa.
That's a really big change.
Which we also had a conversation about who's going to step in for Joe Biden after playing a couple Joe Biden clips. Just being that, his prediction is that right around Halloween, that Joe Biden's going to give a speech. He's going to wet his pants on stage and pass out, and they're going to have to replace him. We had a conversation about who's going to replace him, and my number 3 and 2 choices were Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama, but my number 1 choice was Mr. Cuomo over there. So I said, you're leaving Mr. Cuomo in New York, the great governor over there, who will probably be the selection, I think, once, if in fact, I don't know if they're going to try to get Joe to at least the election. It's almost like they want to lose.
I mean, I think they're just going to use Kamala. And then have somebody
going behind Kamala. Yeah. It's Kamala.
Yeah, it is Kamala, but I just
it's not Kamala?
Like saying it wrong. No, it's Kamala. I don't know. I think it's Kamala. I thought it was Kamala.
Either way, not the best choice for the Democrats if you really want to get some of those independent voters out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to all our Patreons, and especially Mama June. Mama June watching the show. We love you. Thank you, Mama June.
It's not the real Mama June.
No, it's the Mama June, my Mama June.
Oh.
I named my car June because I met a Mama June. The car came in June. It was a white, beautiful. Yes.
The real one is. I don't think she watches our show.
No, but my Mama June does, and I love you, Mama June. Thank you for watching the show, and thank you to all our Patreons. 123 of you. You're great. We get new Patreons all the time. We'll hit you up over there. If you can give $1, $5, $10, $27, whatever it may be, please do so. Or if you can go over to our ROKFIN, ROKFIN. Endorse us over there, subscribe. If you buy anybody's premium content, you get all the premium content ad-free. Had a good day for the Ray yesterday. You can even join in the fun. Get yourself a crypto wallet. Go crazy. Have fun. Plug on in. But ROKFIN doesn't censor us, and they reward their content creators now.
Yes, fam.
Okay. So anyways, I think we should tell everybody the truth. Somebody had hard evidence, by the way, that they said you and your husband, meaning me, are Russian spies or something, right?
I don't know if I laugh more at the Russian money or the fact that they think you were my husband. I don't know which one I thought was funnier, but
our real names are Nikita and Ivan, and Vladimir is on the ones and twos.
All right, we can show that in a minute.
It's kind of crazy the way people come up with this crap. I mean, it's absurd.
It's the Russiagating. Yeah, the Russiagating.
It's really xenophobic.
This person had a rose on their name too, so they're supposed to be a democratic socialist, and I was like, how? You're not supposed to hate Russia. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, the Dem socias, they're having more hate for the Russians than the leftist libertarians nowadays. That's kind of crazy and stuff.
Yeah,
everything is turned around. I couldn't put it in here, fam. I watched the crosstalk yesterday. I want to watch it again. I watched it twice. It's amazing. And it was with Lionel and this Democratic strategist. And Lionel seems to be kind of getting up on his foreign policy since he got his butt beat. But the whole rhetoric of Donald Trump and whatnot, he was kind of talking about whatnot when he talks about the war. What we talked about, does rhetoric make a difference? Well, they're starting to echo him. And the Democratic strategist was talking just right-wing, neoconservative talking points. We got to spread democracy. This whole 9 yards. It was crazy. And there was a moment where Lionel goes, if you took a guy from Vietnam and he got in a time machine and he watched this, he'd say, who's the Republican and who's the Democrat? It would be reversed. It really would. And we talked about this, and it was like, oh my God, when it comes to foreign policy still. But we're not going to talk about this. We got other things to talk about. We got a loaded folder today. So, fam, start us off in the news. What do we got?
Okay, so we're going to start within the news today, and we have a recap of the Ellsberg testimony. I basically just put this up because I feel like you guys should go out and read it because it's a article. It's a really good recap.
Joe Lauria.
And this is Consortium News. And if you scroll down, Johnny, there are 3 things,
Yes.
Important matters that emerged
If you click
on
the
the
first one,
issue
John.
in testimony so far with the Julian Assange trial. And one of them was, it's not against the law to reveal the names of informants.
If you scroll down.
2 is Assange did not reveal informants' names first. They had already previously been revealed. And 3, not a single informant is known to have been banned by harmed by the revelation of their names. So
which is important points right here to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole framing of our Justice Department and the military industrial complex that, what Julian Assange did was he put people who were actively working in the CIA who depend on their clearance, on their, on their secrecy. You know what I'm saying? And he put them in harm's way, which they showed. They're trying to put that out there. The public sentiment is like, oh, look what Julian did. He put the soldiers in harm's way. But number one, they were mentioned by another outlet. He mentioned them day 2. That was June 2nd. It had already been mentioned June 1st. Number 2, none of them have ever been harmed in the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And what was the first one? Yeah. He didn't reveal them first. He didn't reveal their names, and none of them were harmed. So really, to tell you the truth, once again, their tactics of framing this against Julian, they're falling on their face every step of the way. So.
And if you go down, Johnny, below a little bit further where Ellsberg testifies, and I'm going to read a little bit of what he said. And he said, Ellsberg made an astute observation from the stand that the low-level field reports backed by Manning contained information about U.S. torture and assassination program that would have never been in such reports in Vietnam, which Ellsberg said he himself had written when he worked at the U.S. Embassy in Saigon during the war. Then during the cross-examination, Lewis pointed out Assange was not being persecuted for that collateral murder video, which Ellsberg had mentioned on direct, but instead for publishing the classified rules of engagement in Iraq. But Ellsberg said that the rules of engagement were necessary to show the evidence of war crimes in the videos. Had the government taken actions against the pilots who laugh as they kill innocent men, the American public would have accepted it. But that's not what happened. Instead, they are prosecuting the man who published the incriminating evidence. So it's a really good article. You guys should read it. It's just, it really sums up the testimonies from day 7 with Ellsberg and Goetz.
See, the whole thing is that what the prosecution doesn't have to do is they don't have to get a victory as far as like proving the fact that what Julian Assange did was illegal, because they even said it wasn't illegal what he did. You can release informants' names. You can release these videos. You can release the engagement rules of war. It's the public opinion. If they get people repeating, well, yeah, Julian put CIA people in harm's way. Well, no, he didn't. You didn't watch the case and whatnot. No. He put people in harm's way. That narrative is already set. Then they win because they're going to extradite him no matter what.
Yeah,
no matter what.
It's the fact that also he's not even an American, and the fact that they have so much power to extradite somebody like that.
Well, they're playing ball in Great Britain over there, fam. They're going along with it.
But it's really hard to watch because the defense is doing a wonderful job. Like, they have all the best witnesses. Their arguments make logical sense. But when it comes to the prosecution, they if we were to have a jury, the defense would obviously win, but it's because this judge is really in line with the prosecution that even if they are presenting a valid argument, the chance of him getting extradited is still high. And
and when he gets over here, it's done behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? It's not in the public then there. It's a grand jury.
Which people shouldn't allow that to happen at all.
That's why Chelsea refused to even testify this last time. She's like, I don't feel comfortable with doing stuff behind closed doors and not in the public's eye in a grand jury. It's bullshit. And the fact that this is America, right? And we're doing this. This is America, but yet this shit goes on all the time, every day, and it's disgusting, Let me just put that over there. Let's continue with the topic because there's some great stuff over there.
Okay,
because
so Joe Rogan. Yeah, so Joe Rogan on Assange. Let's just watch the clip. But Glenn Greenwald basically said that Joe Rogan is more like, hold on, let me just read the tweet.
Gotcha.
So he said it seems indisputable that Joe Rogan has a greater commitment to defending press freedoms and a far better understanding of what's at stake in the Assange prosecution and extradition than the vast majority of the establishment media outlets, which is funny that he posted this recently because we were talking about TYT and not covering it, which, by the way, apparently they covered it, but I don't have the video. They covered a small segment of the Ellsberg testimony.
Looked into it?
Yeah, but that was after everybody was
They
like going hard after them. So let's just play this.
Julian Assange has literally been tortured. I mean, the guy was locked in that embassy for how many years with no exposure to daylight, just completely trapped. And you've seen videos of him skateboarding around the embassy. I mean, he looks like he's going crazy in there. And now he's in jail and on trial. The whole thing it's so disturbing because when it boils down to like what did he do that is illegal? What did he do that people disagree with, that people in the United States disagree with in terms of the citizens? Well, he exposed horrific crimes. He exposed things that were deeply that the United States citizens are deeply opposed to, and the fact that is something that you in this country can be prosecuted for, that they would try to extradite you and drag you from another country. They'd kick him out of the embassy and bring him back to the United States to try him for that. It seems like we're talking about some kangaroo court. It seems like we're talking about some dictatorship where, you have these no protection of freedom of speech, no protection under the First Amendment, no protection under the rights of the press.
Cool shirt he was wearing too.
And if Joe Rogan can get that, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's right wing, like it's just like this man is doing more for Assange than fucking TYT did with all their viewers. I mean, he didn't have to be told. He's been talking about Assange for a while, actually.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people like that. I mean, he has like millions of followers and on
lot.
YouTube.
Yeah.
And then now he's on Spotify though, right?
Yeah, Spotify.
So it like his message is reaching, and I think more Americans should be really up in arms and like protesting outside for this, because this is a really big deal.
Yeah. It's I like kind of going on like-minded shows like that. That's what today was all about with Jason Burmis. It's kind of that Rogan feel where you're kind of just talking. Like it's just a bunch of intellectual guys at a party drinking a couple drinks. But, not that drunk stage, but that, that first drink stage, and kind of just talking about life and what's going on. And Joe always brings that realness, that Russell, was it Russell Brand, that kind of, what I'm saying? So a lot of people listen to him, and I'm glad he's talking about these things. But let's be honest, these civil liberty issues were kind of forgotten on the left for a long time.
Yeah.
And right now it's coming back to bite us in the ass, especially with the work you guys are doing out there. You're seeing the protesters, how they're trying to take away their First Amendment rights and trying to, we're going to get into that big time and stuff.
And they should know about Assange, because there's a connection right there that you make. Like the civil liberties and the freedom of speech and your right to protest, it's all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
If they can do this to Assange, and they're already doing it to protesters kind of simultaneously, it's that type of relationship where it's just gonna be like,
and
well, we already did it to him, so guess what? And the lady getting arrested, and not just arrested, but the way she got arrested, like pinned on the ground. And I mean, it's scary times for journalists. The fact that we have to go out there in gas masks and hard hats and like make sure that our badge is what they want it to be, and like
broken in on us when we're hanging in a van doing nothing with all, press gear,
the LAPD shoots at reporters in their car.
I mean, it's just, come on. I'm so sorry. And listen, I don't want to hear the crybabies that talk about, well, we have to stop this because of the looting and the rioting. No, bullshit. You cannot take away somebody's First Amendment rights. The protesters are out there to peacefully protest, should not be taking flack for what one individual does. And that's what they're doing. And they're conflating this whole issue and making it look like, well, they have no choice. It's bullshit. Our First Amendment right has to work for all sides. Even if people aren't paying attention to certain things, they still deserve the same protections. And yes, I hope to God that people do understand and learn more about Assange, and I'm glad we're doing that. Even doing that to the Trumpers, going, hey, man, WikiLeaks gave you the friggin' election. Now you're going to sit there and they're going to abandon Julian Assange when he fucking helped you guys out? Dick Medhurst put up, my man, Today in court, we received information that Trump did offer Assange deal. No extradition if you give up the source of the DNC leaks. We talked about this. Assange sacrificed his freedom and refused to do the very thing the prosecution is falsely accusing him of, endangering sources. Okay? Now and once again, I struggle with this. This is the whole Rand Paul, Dana Rohrabacher thing. It's so funny that we did the debate with the guy who replaced Dana Rohrabacher. But Dana Rohrabacher and Rand Paul went to Assange and said, listen, Trump's going to make a deal with you right now. We're not going to extradite you. Just give up your source. That's it. He refuses to do that because he won't even give up his sources. He did say that it was not Russia. It wasn't a state-sponsored thing and stuff like that. But I still struggle with this. And, I know the fact they're going to bring him over here and they're going to hold his feet to the fire unless he gives up that source. And I understand you're not supposed to give up your sources, but I still think it would be better for the country.
It would be
bad in some ways. I don't know.
It would be horrible because that means that he would be going against everything journalism stands for. So I can understand why he's not going to do it. I think
he's got to protect his source, but if his source is Seth Green.
You mean Seth Rich?
Seth Rich, sorry.
Seth Green is the actor.
It's a trick. It's a trick.
Yeah, I think it's a trick. I don't think they're gonna. Every time the police.
You did it, and then
I know
that's what Richard's saying here. It's a trick.
No. Listen. I understand what Julian Assange is doing it too, but this whole RussiaGate narrative that the Democrats have built their whole ideology upon. You know what I'm saying? They even in Congress, the way they vote, it's always about anti-Russia, whatnot. So I mean, I would just love to crush that more than anything, but I understand why he's not giving it up and whatnot. So, I mean, Julian Assange. But there was a deal there. It was there, and he did not take the deal. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, good for him. I wouldn't have taken the deal either. So we need
people to really get on this thing. We need people to wake up and really call and say, listen, free Assange. I mean, the reason why no Democratic senator or congressperson in the House will do anything is because he exposed them. And I really wish he was there to expose them again, but he exposed them, and the Democrats had to admit that they can go in the back room and cheat. Yeah. But still, you know what I'm saying? So.
All right, Johnny, let's go to video 2, actually. We'll go to the end on that because that's a lighter topic.
Topic 2 is here.
So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court also removed the Green Party presidential candidate from the ballot, just like the Wisconsin Supreme Court did as well. What's up?
I was going to read super chats because I know some of them are about the topics, but we'll go into this. And what's that? All right, because they're about that topic. So, Irving Correa, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch, fam. I know you were waiting for that one. A. Maris, longtime friend of the family. Love the A. Maris. Ooh, I have a new progressive neighbor in L.A. Yay. There's plenty of room for the couch when you're ready. Those are the super chats. That's A. Maris. Oh. Did I miss another one, Johnny? We're good? That's the 2. Those are the super chats. Let's get back into the fascism of the Green Party. That's being done to the Green Party.
So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, like I said, ruled Thursday that the presidential and vice presidential candidates for the Green Party cannot appear on the state's ballots this cycle. This is, according to the Hill, handing Democrats a win as they try to consolidate support in key swing state. The court ruled in a 5-2 decision that the Green Party did not follow proper procedure for getting on the ballot, overturning a Republican judge's decision in a lower court ruling. See, they're trying to put politics into here, and this is the second time I'm hearing, not the second time, I mean, they do it all the time here, Democrats, you didn't follow procedure. That's bullshit. They always say that, well, there was this thing. They do it to Maria Estrada all the time.
The math wouldn't have mattered anyways. You know what I'm saying?
Like they do this all the time. That's not even the case. And like I said, and you know, Pasta, you're not voting Green Party, but that doesn't matter. What matters is like if they do this, now we have a precedent where they can literally kick you off for anything, whatever party you are. MPP should be outraged about this. In like a few years, you're going to be facing this. If you get ballot access first, you're going to be facing the same exact thing. And if you're not paying attention as to how they're doing this and aren't outraged, I mean, come on, we should all be outraged right now because this is our elections, our democracy. This is why we can't get anything because they just act like fascists. They're using fascism to quote, save democracy.
Yeah. And it was a Republican judge who had made the decision, right? And they overturned the Republican.
And they're putting politics into this too because they're like, well, Republicans only want the Greens there so they can cheat. And it's like,
really?
Yeah. But that's what they're saying. You know, they're saying that's what it is.
It's really disgusting.
And I also wanted to put this this framing on Twitter.
Yeah, they frame it like they're trying to stop Trump. So this is the GOP chairwoman, right?
Yeah, well, no, this is a big win from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Democrats sued to strip voter protection standards, but the court sided with the RNC and Team Trump to uphold the ban on the ballot harvesting, uphold envelope security requirements, and against their request for excessive processing delays. We will continue to fight back against Democrats' efforts and would reduce confidence. That would reduce confidence in our election. We need fair, free, and transparent elections. That's why we must protect the vote.com.
So it seems like they both got a little bit of something.
Exactly.
In other words, they will, there's a ban on ballot harvesting. We're going to get into that. In Pennsylvania,
which I agree with.
Yes, 100%.
But it's like they're politicizing our elections now to a point where people don't even know what's going on. Like, people don't even know like what's good and what isn't. And we're going to talk about the ballot harvesting in a minute. But I just want to put this also because the Democrats pretend that they're so, like they're such do-gooders, they're just the innocent lambs here. But a former top aide to VP Mike Pence rebukes President Trump's response to the pandemic in a new video and said she's endorsing Joe Biden. Her name is Olivia Troy, and she's among the growing list of former Trump administration officials who have criticized the president. And we don't have to watch that, but I just wanted to point that out because now you're seeing a bunch of people endorse Joe Biden, a bunch of people who worked for Donald Trump. I don't know what more proof you need that there's really not much of a difference between these two because it's the same people behind the scenes. They're just going to go wherever the wind blows because as long as the establishment is maintained and as long as they can fearmonger people onto whatever side, you're going to dismiss the fact that they are killing democracy by keeping third parties down. Third parties don't have a fair shake in the system. They don't have a platform to actually compete realistically with a two-party system. So they tell you vote Democrat or vote Republican. That's why we don't have any power in the electorate. So are they any different?
Well, they're not. And we're going to get to that little clip in a second. But let me just point out the fact that when it comes to taking the Green Party people off the ballot, and despite the Green Party being in shambles right now and really needing to get their shit together, and I'm saying, this is still not good. You still don't root for these things. MPP, all the Draft Jesse people, even you guys, you shouldn't be rooting for this right over here and stuff like that. We need more choices. Suppressing the vote, what the Democrats are doing, and actually, everything is turned upside down.
Yep.
It's like here you are, Republicans were like, okay, we'll leave the Greens on the ballot. We have to make sure we leave our provisions there. You know what I'm saying? They want their securities in place, whatnot, and we can still argue the Republican ideology versus the Democrats' ideology when it comes to who can vote and who's not allowed to vote. But the Democratic Party just trying to always spin it like they're once again, like they're the party of the working people, like they're innocent of the lens. No, this is full-scale fascism over here. You're removing another choice. We played that clip of that dude saying, like, this is bullshit. You're just going to piss people off. Well, I hope it does, and I hope it backfires against them.
I agree, 100%. I
really do. This is disgusting, the fact that they're removing more choices. The Green Party is still supposed to be a party on the left.
So we have this clip right here, right?
You're Nancy.
Yeah.
We speak of peaceful demonstrations. We participate in them. In fact, she'll say it herself. Let her.
She says it better, Pasta.
Important, as I said, statement of American values. And yes, it is a good use of time for us in the House of Representatives to state our values, to remove all doubt that people in our country are respected and that we are not using a pandemic to have people, I'll go into that in a moment, but let me just say this. Before the distinguished leader spoke, the gentleman on the other side said, where are you when you're talking about violence, this or that? We're there. We support peaceful demonstrations. We participate in them. They are part of the essence of our democracy. That does not include looting, starting fires, or rioting. They should be prosecuted. That is lawlessness. I'm very proud that Joe Biden has presented the clarity of that.
Okay. You should be prosecuted then for looting the freaking economy. Really, to tell you the truth, you want to talk about looting? You and all your Democratic cohorts And the Republicans, too, should be arrested for looting the American people and what you just did with the CARES Act and what you tried to do with the HEROES Act.
I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, how do you have the audacity to talk about looting and rioting as if it's like a big, she's literally using the same narrative Donald Trump is, but with prettier words. Same with Biden. They're spewing the same narrative. The vast majority of these protests have been peaceful. We have been covering them left and right. And that's the thing, that you can denounce the loot. Like, she's denouncing it. She's talking about law and order. So all the Democrats that are like, ooh, Trump is a law and order president, you're really not going to get much else with a Joe Biden presidency or a Nancy Pelosi presidency, or, because they're all the same. And like, Nancy Pelosi has literally given Trump a lot of the ammunition for him to do the things he has done. And again, we have a supermajority of Democrats here in Oregon, Washington, California, and they are the ones that have been going after the law enforcement. They sent the Fed, yes, but before the Fed got there in Portland, the freaking the governor and the mayor of Portland was attacking the protesters the same
police
way.
Department was gassing the people,
but led by.
Yeah.
With the okay from the mayor, and that's why they want to replace the mayor. And those are all Democrats. Those are all Democrats. So again, this issue, like, well, we need to save protesters, so we need to vote Democrat. The Democrats aren't helping what have the Democrats done anything to defund the police, to arrest these people? No, they haven't done anything.
No.
None of these people have done anything. And so that's what I'm saying is, like, it's the same bullshit. And yes, the American people, as Pasta mentioned, have been absolutely looted. We've been given a $1,200 stimulus check and nothing else. And Gavin Newsom isn't even going to pay the extra $100 because he's playing politics with Trump.
Please.
Yeah.
Oh, we spent the money. We gave it to contractors, friendly contractors. We got the sports fighters. We need that money. Your friends got that money. I think Pishman said it best on the ROKFIN, and thank you for being on the ROKFIN. Nancy Fugazi. Because here's the thing, fam. Pick a side. She's like, we believe in these protests. We participate in them.
When have you seen Nancy Pelosi at a protest?
You don't. You don't stand by these protests. You don't participate in them. You don't know what's going on. You want to play it both ways. You're such a fugazi.
Yeah.
You want to still act like you're for those people out there to get their votes and stuff, but you don't
do
with
anything.
Them. You're not doing anything.
What's the legislation you're passing?
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing. And if you want to bring up some serious legislation, we've talked about it on this show. Do something. They want to play, and Joe Biden is the same way.
Yeah.
They want to play both sides. Mm-hmm. They want to play both sides. They don't want to pick a side. They're just so fake. They want to act like they're for the people, for the working people out there, for the poor people out there, for Black Lives Matter. No, you just want to tokenize them and use them and take their vote and not give them any action whatsoever.
And people need to realize
that. Out
that.
there in the cold. You're leaving them out there to die. And I'm telling you, the most violence we've seen from protesters was a little tree being set on fire that was put out. In Portland. In Portland. We've been to a lot of them in LA, so stop it already and stuff like that. And in fact, all these other police departments are now taking on the whole mentality of the Trump of the law and order. And they're lumping in people who are not part of the organization, who are not part of the march, that are homeless people maybe. I mean, there's 700,000 across the country, and they're going to join in, and they might start something, and you're going to blame that on the protesters.
And a lot of the looting that
bullshit.
happened in here, when in the beginning during the May 30th, it was a lot of homeless people going into these CVSs and stuff, and
there was a homeless campus right next door. They were going in, they were running in, and they
were
running
homeless,
back into their tents.
Why would I not do that?
Yeah,
I'm not getting help I'm getting criminalized. I'm getting my things tore apart. I'm getting jailed for being poor. Like, what are you guys doing? Nothing.
Yeah.
We have so much wealth in this state, and none of it is being used on people, and people are having to band together and come up with resources, and we're going to be exploring that here in this city. But what I'm telling you is the government hasn't helped people at all.
Not at all. They don't want to address that rage and that stuff that's going on right now, the poverty, the people who are living in these streets in theyese areas that, you know what I'm saying, they're desperate for anything. And during that same march, we saw the organizers of BLM stop people from going into a Target. Some other people that were just cut off stop people going in from a Walmart, holding their hands up. So I've seen more responsibility in taking accountability from the actual organizers than I have.
Yeah, and those organizers are nicer people than I am, because I would have been like, loot the Walmart. Do you know how much money the Walton Foundation, the Walton family has, and what they do, what they pay their workers?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about looting. We're being looted by the the Walton family.
Yeah.
Like, this is what people don't get. And you have to understand where a lot of this is coming from. It's coming from the fact that you motherfuckers aren't doing your jobs, Pelosi and co. You're not doing any of your jobs. And the looting that is happening, which is very minimal, is happening not just out of anger, it's out of need as well.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I just want to say hi to those people. Is there any super chats? Oh, we got a super chat contribution. Thank you very much. Mayors, it is always appreciated on the couch. Iowa pasta. LOL. Jason is smart. We need all the truth tellers we can to get here to help us fight when the coastal exodus begins. And you both look fabulous today, by the way. I know. I feel fabulous. And, I had some coffee. I got up early. Nice. It's the veganism. I brag about my veganism all over the place. I got a new shirt today, fam. I showed it to Johnny. Love it. Brand new shirt. So, that's that. Johnny, anything else to say about that last topic? All right.
So moving on.
Moving along.
So this is a controversial topic for some people.
Is it controversial?
I think so. Some people in the Democratic Party. Oh, for sure. So Tulsi is introducing a legislation to aid an election integrity. Why is this controversial? Because Republicans have been supporting stopping ballot harvesting. Mm-hmm. So because Republicans support something, that means automatically that you have to be against it and that it must be a conservative thing if the Republicans support it, right?
Yep.
So Tulsi Gabbard, what did she say?
It says the strength of our democracy lies in the integrity of our elections, and no one should get between a voter and the ballot box. I introduced a bipartisan bill to improve the security of the mail-in ballot process and prevent ballot harvesting. So I think we should play her video real quick and then talk a little bit about ballot harvesting and everything else that's going on.
Hey, everybody. We're getting closer and closer to Election Day now, and it is critical to remember that the strength of our democracy lies in the integrity of our elections, that every one of us has to have faith that our vote will count. But right now, there are still many states in our country that allow for something called ballot harvesting. This is a system that allows for third parties to collect and deliver ballots for other people, potentially large numbers of people. Unfortunately, ballot harvesting has allowed for fraud and abuse to occur by those who could tamper with or discard ballots to try to sway an election for or against a certain candidate or party. Now, our vote is our voice. So whether in the midst of a pandemic, as we are now, where mail-in voting is likely to drastically increase, or even in a normal election, no one should get in between a voter and the ballot box. Now, while some states have prohibited vote harvesting or ballot harvesting, many have not, which again allows for abuse from third parties collecting and mishandling ballots. This is something that we've actually seen happen in recent elections. Now, to protect the integrity of our vote in our elections, I've introduced legislation called the Election Fraud Prevention Act with my friend, Representative Rodney Davis. Our bipartisan bill protects the chain of custody for every one of our ballots by prohibiting funding from going to states that allow this practice of ballot harvesting to occur. This bill will actually encourage states to stop this practice that's ripe for fraud and that poses a serious threat to the integrity of our elections. And we urge our leaders in Congress to take up this legislation quickly to support and ensure the integrity of our elections.
So I just want to do, Tulsi, a right-winger. Look at her. She's just being such a Republican right now.
Yeah. Says Anna, right?
Right. Like, nothing she said, there's nothing wrong with what she said. Everything she said is actually true. And real quick, before you read your tweet, I just want to say that during the Bernie Sanders campaign, they were ballot harvesting because the Democrats do it. So all the Democrats do it. So they were doing the same thing and they were doing that. And I remember speaking to somebody like, this isn't a good idea. Ballot harvesting can come back and like bite us in the ass because we don't cheat. Like the progressives don't cheat. I mean, they don't. But the Democrats can turn around and cheat and a Republican can turn around. Anybody. It doesn't matter. And I was really turned off by it. And one person was like, yeah, the establishment Democrats have done that before against our own local candidates running for city council, running for Congress. They were saying like they had experienced them like doing shady things with the ballot harvesting. And I was like, yeah, like, why wouldn't they? I mean, there's like no security. And the reason this is such a bad thing, I think, because if we had an election system where we had an integrity, where we had like open and fair elections, where we could see the sourcing of our votes, where we could follow our ballots, where we could do all these things, sure, it wouldn't be a big deal to do it because it'd be very secure. But we don't have that at all. So you can't have ballot harvesting in a system where it's completely corrupt and there's so much shade, especially in California.
So I made a tweet last night before Tulsi's video, and I'm glad she hit on the proper terminology, and I'm glad she knows what's going on. These are my thoughts on the bills being introduced. First off, it strengthens the chain of custody. You heard her say the chain of custody in there. That's something that's very important. We need to talk about this. We need to understand the chain of custody and how out of whack it is. That's something that's out of whack, I put down. And Johnny and I can tell you with the new system that's going on, the votes. I'm a big advocate, and I told Jason Burmez this today on the show. I'm the biggest, if I had to make the number one change in our elections, which I would do nationwide, was I would make a law that says the counting of the ballots must take place in the place that it was voted on. In other words, I don't want the chain of custody to be messed with anymore. Right now we have these vote centers, okay, which then take their votes out of that place, take it to a satellite, that would then take another person to take those votes and take them to the main place that is counted. Okay, now if you start thinking about the chain of custody, like how many hands touch a ballot, a mail-in ballot? Your ballot is mailed off from the company to the post office where it goes. In the post office, 2 people are going to touch it there, deliver it to the person who's then going to take that ballot and mail it out. Now, if you had a third party, which is ballot harvesting, that person's going to come by, pick up your ballot with all these other people's ballots they pick up, which the Democrats frame it as they pick up old people's ballots that can't get to the ballot box or whatnot. But the state would fund these ballot harvesting people that would go and pick up these ballots and then deliver them. It's just something that really takes the chain of custody way out of whack. And I put it down, whether it be individuals transporting ballots by themselves, which is illegal, right? We've seen this too. Seen it in Florida. People driving up. One person. The chain of custody has to be protected at all times. So the chain of custody when it comes to our elections means there must be 2 people at all times traveling with that ballot. The ballot harvesting makes it easy for an individual to travel the ballots.
Yeah,
go ahead. You were gonna say.
I was just gonna say, and I get it. I get like if there's a little old lady that can't get to the polls, well then she should be able to mail her ballot like a normal person. But even that right now, it's like we're looking at, we need to fix the core problem of the system is that we don't have trust in our election system for obvious reasons, because we have seen our elections fraudulent, from Republicans cheating to Democrats cheating. They both cheat, and we need to stop this idea that only one cheats or that only Russian hackers come in and they push our elections, which is completely a conspiracy theory at this point. That is a real conspiracy theory. But it's just like, I understand the argument for, okay, well, but that's not why they're doing it, you guys. Let's be real. If they wanted your votes to count, they wouldn't be kicking the Green Party off of the ballot. Like they wouldn't. Like, they don't want your votes to count. They want to manipulate the elections so they get the results they want. And that's the bottom line of what this comes down to. And if Republicans want to stop that, okay, I agree that's a good thing. I don't have to be a Republican or even like the Republican to agree that that is an issue that should be handled, and so much more needs to be done. But at least she's putting out legislation. At least she's doing something. Nobody else is doing anything.
And I said, or individuals changing or discarding ballots, that will help curtail that situation. But the second part of the tweet, it kind of leads into what you said. I'm happy that there are some of our elected officials who understand and are trying to fight for fair elections, right, fam?
Yeah.
But this is only a small fix in the many that need to be addressed with our elections. The biggest area of concern when it comes to our mail-in ballot lies within the contractor hired by the state. So if you can just picture a mafioso or a cartel. They have territories. This is the Jardula family. This is the Gambino family. This is the Fiorella family. You stay out of their territories, right? You understand that. That's not your family. They're the other side. But you have an understanding. Hey, I won't do business in your territory. You don't do business in my territory. The main thing is we don't let any other small businesses come in. Agreed? At the end of the day,
agreed.
With no Greens, no Libertarians,
no goons,
Democrats, Republicans, we take our territory. And that's what how the cheating occurs. They cheat within their own areas. Now, when it comes to a general election, that's when all the laws come into play. All those elections are laws. Most of them are not built for primaries. Primaries have been considered in the court. Remember? Jared Beck, Nico House was there in the House when they said we can go into the back room smoke cigars, pick whoever the hell we want.
Yep.
Right? They said that and they got away with it. And that's why it just drives me crazy that people are still thinking that there's, that the Democrats are not the one cheating, that Donald Trump is really trying to fix the post office, trying to do all this stuff. And I have a tweet here from Bernie Sanders on Instagram that came out today, fam.
Yeah.
Johnny, you got to play this because even Bernie Sanders, once again, another area where he got this wrong. And it just drives me crazy because we've spoke to top people when it comes to election integrity, and Bernie Sanders had the opportunity to protest not only the 2016 election, which he lost a lot of people, they walked away, but in 2020 they were ready to go again. So now he's spewing out just terrible bullshit information. He said that we should be able to count early. It's like, dude, early counting is early fraud. If I have inside information, I can now discredit ballots that are my opponent's ballots, goes to the back to be counted
It's
later,
really
which they did to Bernie
disappointing.
Sanders. And I can also know the areas where I got to get votes in to win that.
They used this against him.
Yeah.
They used this against him both times, especially in
Yes, they
2016 when they were already declaring victories for Hillary Clinton. It is one of the it's not only it interferes with the voting process too. Not only that can they cheat, but it also interferes with people who are in line who are like, well, I guess I'm just going to vote for Clinton because he already lost. It's that idea. You're not respecting the sanctity of our elections. It is a personal choice. It is a choice you shouldn't necessarily you shouldn't be manipulated on at all.
Yeah. And it's so stupid because it's just not necessary. Because bottom line is that, and Johnny will tell you too, he's been in those rooms, those machines run the counting of the ballots, right? Thousands of ballots. Then they stop, right? They shut down after a couple days, after they counted the enormous amounts of ballots, and they wait for other ballots to come in before they start counting again, and they'll start counting them again. So you don't need to count ballots earlier. The machines don't need to count ballots early at all. In fact, it just creates more areas for fraud once again.
And error.
Do you have, is it playing at all?
Here is the fear. The fear is that at 8 o'clock on the evening of the election day evening, you may have Trump in the lead because the Republicans, according to various studies, are more likely to vote in person. Democrats are more likely to vote through mail-in ballots.
I don't know where he gets
And I fear very much that what Trump will say is 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, I'm winning. And we have reason to believe, or we have investigated that all of these mail-in ballots are fraudulent. And we're not going to allow them to be counted. Thank you, I'm your president, go home, have a nice night. We cannot allow that to happen. Every vote cast must be counted. We have a country, especially because of this pandemic, where more and more people are voting through mail-in ballots. Those ballots must be counted. And Trump has got to stop this nonsense about suggesting that mail-in ballots are fraudulent.
Yeah.
So we have got to be very, very vigilant about what's going to be happening in the next 50 days. In my view, we've got to do everything we can to make sure that Joe Biden wins, that he wins big. But we have got to be clear that every vote cast in this country has got to be counted.
It's that, fam, go ahead. I mean, I can't begin to tell you the level of disappointment.
No, I know. So I understand what he's saying, that every vote should count. Every vote should count, but this is not how you achieve every vote counting. I obviously Trump is using they're all fraudulent for his own narrative too. Like, we can't deny that that's what he's doing. But the way to fix the issue isn't to just pretend that it's not an issue just because he's saying he's using it for his own gain, because he is doing that.
Well, where Donald Trump is wrong in the situation is that he's allowing certain friendly contractors like the state of Florida, where he knows he's got the contract.
Well, no, they're going to cheat. Like, they're going to cheat. They're going to try to cheat too. Republicans cheat in the general. Democrats cheat in the primaries.
But the rhetoric from Barr and this whole idea, the fact that when Barr said to Wolf, it's like, this is really bullshit. The fact that we're ignoring the main fact, and put it up here. Jimmy Carter said the danger of mail-in voting. Absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud. And that's just the bottom line, plain and freaking simple. That is the truth, fam. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust these Democrats. I think that's where they have a lot of areas where they can cheat with this going on and stuff like that. But it even says here, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud. Johnny has looked at those contracts. We talked about this stuff with our man, right? Okay, Johnny, do you want to talk a little bit about this? You looked at those contracts. You've seen everything they can do. Is there a potential? We talked to Dr. Rebecca Mercury, who does studies on actually security tracking of finances, of checks, of lotteries, and then she ties it into the ballots, saying that these ballots that they make are just so fugazi half the time, right? Your opinions about this?
Yeah, I mean, mail-in voting, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Pasta, I don't even know, because it's like fucking. There's no democracy in our voting. There's no democracy out on the streets. The police are arresting journalists. The federales are fucking abusing people out on the streets. Yeah, it's looking more and more like the fall of an empire. The fall of an empire.
And I just want to say on the ballot stuff, like, it would be. I would love to have vote by mail. I would absolutely love to have it for everybody. I would, if we had a system that was fair and we could track our vote. We could knew who we. Yeah, because guess what, you guys? I think that's going to be the future. I think the future is going to be you can vote by phone. You can
Online,
vote by that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's the thing, you guys. In order to get there, we have to fix our system. Our system isn't secure because a lot of people, the other side of the argument is possible. Well, Washington has more better elections and they mostly vote. They're all vote by mail.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But
too.
also, but no, hold on. But I just want to say, and I agree. Like their system is a lot better because they can chase the ballots. They can go and find the ballots and they can make sure that they're accurate and they go back and get the signatures. I've talked to those people. They've been doing it for a while. Washington is a state that's better, but at the same time, there's still no security with
no
these ballots. There's no audit. There's no we don't know what's going on. So the potential for cheating is there, and it's not just Republicans who cheat. You guys, we know this. We've been through this since 2016 with Bernie, but way before that, even there's been multiple times both parties have cheated.
See, I'm for. Only in certain situations should there be absentee ballots. But then again, if we're going to make sure that people have to show up, because I believe it's the most honest way, if they show up and vote and do their civic duty, we have to make sure that that system's in play, and that's quick and fast and efficient too as well, because people got to get back to life. So there's so many things that we have to fix. But if the tracking system is that you have to, once a ballot goes out, the post office grabs it and hits it with their machine. We need to know when and where these ballots are coming out of. You know what I'm saying? People don't even know who the contracts are right now in Washington. I'm trying to figure out who the contracts are in Washington. I'm looking at the contracts in Maine right now and stuff like that. But people don't even understand that we outsource this out to another company. And the ballots that come in, we don't even know if they're valid from the people coming in. Now, I understand Washington does the count live on TV, and I think it's great. And it's all mail-in. But we still need a proper auditing process in place. And I checked. The state of Washington does not have a proper auditing process in place. It's just an area, they used to call it the secret ballot, which is ripe for fraud. So, I mean, once again, it's the whole spectrum we have to fix, fam. I agree with you, but I'm just one of those people that I believe the absentee ballots should be limited to people who are older or veterans across the seas or certain issues. However, how can I sit there and pitch a system where I say you should show up, proper IDs, all that stuff?
Yeah,
you know
I'm not for
I want to
that.
get into all that stuff right now and stuff like that, but that system has to be fixed. And then the counting, the tabulation. I mean, there's so many, at least at the very least, though, we have to have honest conversations about it, right? We have to put everything on the table and say these are the areas and whatnot. We stopped doing that in this country.
Well, we
Nobody's
stopped talking about the cheating in general because it's true that Republicans do want more hurdles for people because they don't want people of color voting. They don't want minority. They don't want all these people voting because they know that the votes are going to go against it. However, the Democrats do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And they especially do it in the primaries. So it's hypocrisy here. Again, what I'm trying to point out is that we're seeing a real issue that needs to be resolved, politicized. We're seeing it be politicized. Either if you're a Democrat, you fall in line this way. If you're a Republican, you fall in line this way. I believe we need to completely redo the entire election system because right now people don't have trust in their elections. And if you make the elections fair and transparent, then people are going to be more likely to be open to things like the vote by mail thing. But we don't have a system where we can trust that that's going to work either. So I don't think, honestly, I don't even think voting in person is secure at all. We've seen that it's not. So I honestly think this is just a small, minute, tiny step because if voting in person isn't possible at this point right now in a lot of places. So
it's terrible. I mean, it should be a lot better and efficient.
But we should redo the whole thing because it's not just we need to attack the whole source of the problem.
And we're not even getting closer. We're moving further away. When we're listening to distractions and what's going on and stuff like that. Like I said, if you want to say that Donald Trump is using the mail-in ballots for his benefit, you have to also call out the Democrats too as well. If you
Right.
want to say we need an audit across the board, you know what I'm saying? And not for nothing, that's the guy who gave us a chance to do the audit. And you're talking about mail-in ballots. Where do you think they screwed you in Los Angeles, Bernie? You know, it wasn't Biden folks that were shut out on election day waiting in those lines. Where did he get all those votes from, Bern? Just think about it. I mean, I don't know for sure, once again, because we don't have an auditing process. They're not showing us. Everything's done behind closed door. It's like the grand jury.
Well, the exit polls are way off, and that's
Way off.
that's what we've
Not
talked
even the
about
exit
countless
polls,
times on this show.
the pre-polls, right? Biden was polling at 7.8% on his highest poll. He
Yeah,
didn't
but the
even come
exit
to
polls are
California.
actual data. So
Exactly. I'm saying to even back up when people
Yeah.
go, "Oh, the exit polls, they're just it's both." We have it on both sides. He
Yeah.
wasn't polling close to 8%. Everybody said it was going to spell doom for him in California. He wasn't even coming to the conventions, fam. We saw one Biden sign. I get my middle finger up, but I mean, come on. Seriously, we got him on all ends, and I suspect a lot of it was done through the mail-in system. We looked at those contracts. We saw everything they had. We're just fighting for transparency, and we're not even getting that. So, oh, by the way, this guy, he says, John Moore, thank you for the super chat contribution. John Moore Jr. Guys, what I worked out, none of this would happen. Still waiting. Okay. All right. I gotta listen. I got on the list. I got a lot of people over there. I'm getting to you, John. I promise. Johnny, baby, I'll call you. Hit you up.
we get a lot of emails, you guys.
Yeah. We were doing that whole. You know what the last one is. All right. Fourth topic. Mama June. She'll like this one.
Okay, so this one is Biden's hiring an ex-Clinton and Obama staffer, and he was also Twitter's policy director for his transitioning team. So, according to Politico News, this Twitter public policy director, his name is Carlos Monge, he left the Twitter to join the transition team, and it's not clear what position he's going to have. But he serves as co-chair of Biden's Infrastructure Policy Committee and helped boost a fundraiser for Joe Biden this week. And let's look at some of his background. He served as a director of agency review on this team that prepared in vain for Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's administration. He helped under the Senate administration of two cabinet secretaries as part of the Obama transition team in 2008. And he's also a veteran of the Obama administration. Further, he was also the deputy policy director during Obama's first run in office, and he served as a senior policy advisor and special assistant too on the Domestic Policy Council. So again, he has managed Twitter since 2017, particularly Twitter's public policy and government affairs in the U.S. and Canada,
You can't make this shit up.
including the company's response to interference in the 2016 presidential election.
You can't make this
and
up.
growing criticism over how it moderates content on its sprawling platform.
Yeah,
so there we go.
Too many anti-establishment voices, fan. He's pissed off. He wants to remove us completely out of the mix over
So
here.
there you
Not
go.
fascism.
We're having a marriage with a giant social media platform and the Democratic Party, because Biden is pretty much representing the Democratic Party contingent. And how is that not fascism? I mean, how is that not encroaching entirely? We're seeing what's happening to Assange. We can't stop talking about it here, but this is exactly like, it's okay for it's not a conflict of interest. Even if he quit, his whole like repertoire is full of Democratic like influences, and he's also on Twitter. Do you not think there's going to be some sort of
high exec at Twitter?
But he had to leave the job, right? He quit. But still, that doesn't mean that he hasn't been involved this whole time, and he clearly has. It's really, really disturbing the way we're headed, and it's really, Twitter, again, none of these platforms should be political at all. They shouldn't be censoring people's tweets. They shouldn't be, they are a private company, so technically they can, but I don't believe in censorship at all. And this is not just... This is an opportunity for massive manipulation of information. Who gets verified, who doesn't, who gets completely shut down, which Twitter accounts are going to get demolished now. It's going to definitely, they're going to use it on the right for sure, but they're also going to use it on the left, the real left.
Establishment. Anybody who speaks out against them, puts that up there. let's not forget about Kamala Harris over here too, because she had already had somebody from a Twitter executive from as her press secretary. Where are the progressives on this? How do you ever expect to have justice and honesty when you can't call out the hypocrisy on the left? I mean, you have to be able to call it out, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something where the progressives have to say, this is no bueno. You can control the narrative. You can control freedom of speech. You control the media. This is something that should be looked upon very dangerously. And this is kind of funny when I asked her about taking down Donald Trump's Twitter and stuff. You know, say, well, she went out and hired somebody that will help him take down the Twitter.
And there you go. And now they're doing all these things like where you can't post this, you can't post that. Instagram is doing it too. Johnny can talk about that, but like you can't talk, you can't film the it's like they were trying to upload filming the cops doing something. Instagram wasn't letting them. Bernie Sanders Brigade was a massive page on Facebook. They just got completely removed on Instagram. They also had got taken down on Facebook. The administrators, it's still there, but you can't access the page or anything. This is like these big tech companies, these media companies, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're all, and YouTube, they're all doing this. So it's really scary times for our civil liberties, and the left never really cared about civil liberties. They relegated that to being a right-wing pursuit. Oh, my freedom of speech. And now, you know, it's biting us in the ass, as Pasta said, but also there's a lot of hypocrisy too on the right with that too, in regards to protesting, in regards to being able to speak your mind on things that, you know, there's like, oh no, they're rioters. No, they're just protesting. No, that doesn't count. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. If I'm saying you can say whatever you want, even if I disagree with you, then that means those people get to protest too. And I see a lot of hypocrisy and hyperpolarization on both sides.
The right doesn't say shit when people get censored for saying stuff about China that might be looked in a positive light. That's okay though. Oh, China, anybody says anything positive, Danny Haifong, any of that stuff, oh, you got to take them down. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You got to speak up across the board. You got to call balls and strikes. You can't just cherry pick. And Donald Trump has shown he's cherry picked the election thing. Like we said, he's okay for absentee ballots in Florida. Why? Because he knows he's got that under control and he's got that locked for him. You know what I'm saying? But absentee ballots, other places, mail-in ballots, he's gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna call out the truth there when it's good for him. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it both ways. And the censorship, when you talk about positive stuff about China, which I've had a lot of guests on, like Carl Zog, we've had a lot of guests on, like Carl Zog, Danny Haifong, all these people, Ben Norton, who talk positive stuff, we'll get censored on that. We'll get demonetized on that. And the right won't say
all of our videos are demonetized. The vast majority of our videos get demonetized, just especially when we mention foreign policy, war, anything like that, entirely demonetized.
And by the way, John Ward, don't put your number in the chat. You can just email it to us. We'll call you. We'll talk to you. Just give us a chance.
He already did.
Yeah, we're trying to. Well, we're just trying to get caught up. And Kim Cardona, thank you for the super chat contribution, Kim. It is always appreciated on the couch. Oh, Carl Cardona. Sorry, my bad. Carl Cardona, Johnny Codness there. Thank you for the show. The great topic and great show today. I've been feeling that lately. We've been talking about these because everything that's going on right now, fam, you got to laugh at it sometimes, or you can just listen to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, he makes a lot of sense. Not that one, the one below it, that one. Listen to what Joe says, people.
I don't know if I can.
If any of that is being purchased by any government agency, that we will not purchase anything that is not made in America, including the downriver line of what has to be done, all the parts. You can't do what he's doing now. You can't do where he's given a tax break to companies that in fact go overseas, and then import the product back into the United States of America, even though their headquarters is here. The chain, though, you go overseas and they bring it back in cheaper than you being able to produce it. And so I'm going to make sure that it's made in America. I believe, and I mean that. We've been talking about this policy for 100 years. We've never fully done it. We can and must do it now.
So the one thing he says is that we've been talking about it for 100 years. That's the most succinct thing he says, because it's true. But he's not going to do that. Who supported NAFTA and the TPP?
You did, Joe.
I mean, let's be real here. Why is it why are people all of a sudden suddenly going to buy that you're really going to
Why is he trying to out-Trump Trump?
And I'm not a nationalist.
He can't even make sentences, but he's trying to out-Trump Trump at times. Like, I'm confused. You have an interview with Cardi B. She says you wanted to defund the police. You said you're going to do something about it, but then you have another interview. I'm not going to defund the police. That's Donald Trump. I'm going to keep the police strong. You know, you went on another...
Donald Trump defund the police? Please, I'll vote for him if he's going to do that. He's going to fucking do that.
That's what he says, but these are the things he's trying to out-Trump Trump, and he can't even put together a sentence. He can't... I mean, that was just like... And that was one of maybe 4 or 5 moments just like that, fam. Like you said, what the hell is this guy talking about? And then eventually he'll get to the thesis of what he's trying to say. And you're like, oh, you're talking about Made in America. Oh, so you're going to punish people for going overseas and stuff. Meanwhile, you were just all pro-TPP and you were pro-NAFTA and you supported all these oligarchs going overseas and putting their, your globalism. I mean, you're a big-time globalist. Now you want to try to out-Trump Trump and act like you're more of a nationalist? I'm going to have Made in the USA here.
Right.
Like, who the fuck are you kidding?
And I'm not for, I mean, either. I mean, I think we need a little bit, it's more like in this moment, America needs jobs in America for, like, you need a little bit of that right now. And Trump hasn't done enough on that. He said he was going to do something better, but what he offered was pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Again, like, it's all bullshit from both of these. I'm just so done with it. They're like, he can't even have a normal conversation. Why do you think he hasn't accepted Joe Rogan's interview?
Well, first of all, I heard that there was a provision that every 20 minutes he has to get a cookie and milk break, and Joe's not willing to do that, so they're not going to do it. So, I mean, but the whole thing that's really ironic about this whole statement is that the fact is that, people shouldn't be able to take, owners go over to and get a factory and exploit workers in another country.
No.
So therefore they don't have to pay the people over here. Yeah. That's why there's no supply chains over here in America. We don't make anything anymore. But the fact is that you were part of the whole clan who wrote laws so they can do that. You took money of those people who went and exploited that labor because you put in the laws into place that they could do that. That was Bill Clinton who signed NAFTA.
And they tried to frame Bernie Sanders as a Republican when he was running in 2016 against the TPP and against NAFTA, because Republicans are the only ones allowed to be against that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. What this crap is.
You know who else was against the TPP? Trump. Trump was against the TPP.
Right, that's why they were saying that.
And then Biden and Bernie was against it too. Why? Because it shut out American workers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's so
Bernie's
stupid.
like a right-wing nationalist.
I know, it's so stupid, but this guy is, I mean, if they're not throwing it in your face now, ladies and gentlemen, with this Biden selection, if you're not seeing this, and if you really think that Biden got all these votes, man, dude, I got some land to sell you in the Everglades. I'll tell you that much. Johnny, you got a topic?
Johnny Topics.
Johnny Topics.
Yeah. It's kind of important.
Johnny.
It's kind of important.
It
guys.
is important.
It's
very important.
It's really important. It's the fact that Attorney General William Barr is recommending using sedition for federal prosecutors against protesters.
Wow.
So here's this article. It says William Barr suggests charging violent protesters with sedition. He's expressed some frustrations from local and state prosecutors handling of riot-related crimes, telling top Justice Department prosecutors that he wants them to be aggressive in bringing charges related to protest violence, including exploring using a rarely used sedition law, according to somebody who knows about the matter. He's lashed out on the left, obviously. In 2010, federal prosecutors charged members of a Christian militia called the Houthis with seditious conspiracy. They were acquitted for lack of evidence, and they've also used it, the law against Puerto Rican separatists in the 1930s.
Wow.
This is scary.
It's beyond scary.
This is...
With everything that's happening, too, it's extremely scary. Do you see the chess moves that they're making to really put in real fascism across? And Democrats aren't going to do anything about this either. They're going to turn around and be like, yeah, we need law and order too. That's what Nancy Pelosi just said. This is the oligarchy working against the people. This is why I don't understand. If you support Julian Assange, right? If you want him to be completely free and you know he shouldn't be extradited, How can you not support the actions by these government officials, by law enforcement, and maybe, I don't know, by some prosecutors to really incriminate protesters for the First Amendment? And then journalists too are getting arrested. So we can't even do our jobs because we're going to get arrested if we don't have whatever freaking things that they want us to have now. Like, this is fascism. America, wake up. You're already living in it. You're living in fascism.
Well, here's the thing that Pishman just put out there. The only thing that you're doing that scares the establishment is these protests right now. It's like the only thing that's catching their attention. But what do you want? You want sedition with Barr, or you want, what's the other one? Truancy with Kamala Harris. It's like, this is the options, whatnot, and stuff.
Well, yes, she's a prosecutor. I mean, she was, yeah.
Democrats support this. Republicans implement it. Right? I mean, that's exactly
just
what
like
happens
that meme
all
of
the friggin' time.
So let's look at what it says here. So from Cornell Law, it says it's part of the code. If you guys don't know what the code is, the U.S. Code, you can find it uscode.house.gov. The United States Code is a consolidation and codification by subject matter of the general and permanent laws of the United States. So this is the law of the land. And so here it is. Here's the official site. I show where I get all my sources. Official Office of the Law Revision. This is the exact source. So you go to Title 18, Part 1, and then you go down to which chapter was it? Chapter 115, Treason, Sedition, and Subversive Activities. And then you look at the section. And this section that I got it from this article, which says that top Justice Department official embraces use of sedition charges for protest violence. The Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey A. Rosen emphasized that the Sedition Statute covered a variety of crimes and the push to consider it was proper. So this guy supports it. Look at this fucking guy. He supports it. And so he says he supports what Barr said. He also said that they were on a call last week. Federal prosecutors were on a call last week, and they should consider that. That's when he said it. And he said the push was proper, and that prosecutors did not need evidence of a plot to overthrow the government to consider and bring charges under the statute, despite what the name might suggest, Mr. Rosen wrote. Let's look at the statute here. This is exactly what it is.
The statute.
The statute. It says, if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, of by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to take, seize, to possess any property of the United States, contrary to the authority thereof, they shall each be fined under this title or in prison not more than 20 years or both.
Oh, 20 years. That's a short little time. It just reminds me of the Assange thing.
Yeah, this
really
is literally,
does.
they're using him as an example. And we can't forget the Trump administration has the ability to completely just remove this, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
It's disgusting.
I thought this was your guy, the populist guy that's, WikiLeaks and civil liberties. Where are our civil liberties, Trump? I mean, the Democrats are, doing it too, but he's the commander-in-chief. He could do something. Instead, he's running with this narrative and going to do to these protesters on a smaller scale what they're doing to Julian Assange.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're going to kill the messenger. Anybody's going to expose, just the publisher. Anybody's going to expose war crimes. We're going to go after you. If you want to get out in the street and you just want to protest against the government, we're going to treat you like you're trying to overthrow the government. And
that's exactly it.
With sedition. It's disgusting.
Because we don't want
They're trying to scare people from not going out there right
from going out there. And if you're...
rather than talking
and those are people. But if what happens with Julian Assange, that's going to expand to journalists, to real journalists, people who are actually covering these stories that the duopoly doesn't want you to cover, that these people in power don't want you to cover. That's real journalism. It's not the shitheads on CNN regurgitating each other's narratives for fun, because that's what they're doing. CNN or Fox, they both regurgitate each other's narratives for the system. They can only say certain things. They are controlled. They're controlled, and they're set out there to put propaganda so people could continue falling in line with the fake duopoly that we have.
Yep.
And then at
keep
the end
it
of
up
the
there,
day,
yeah.
it's like this is why we're telling you the real information. This is why there's nuance to what we talk about, even with the election thing, because they frame it like it has to be Democrat is on CNN, Republican is on Fox. That's not media, you guys. That's a propaganda machine.
Yeah, and to conflate the fact that you are upset with your government or your local government and you want to get out there and protest systemic racism,
Or that means
systemic
you're a
poverty
communist
and
and
that means now that you can be charged with trying to overthrow the government. Like, really? And you want to sit that... William Barr wants to talk about the Communist Party of China with Pompeo and say they censor people all the time. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? We're going to conflate the fact that you're protesting within your First Amendment rights in the land of opportunity, America. You want to say that you're trying to overthrow the government? This is like the truancy thing. Like, once again, I just hope these are scare tactics, because I hope this doesn't happen to anybody, because it would be disgusting if they really try to make an example out of a protester. I mean, what are they really saying?
Pasta.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
Go ahead.
It's already happening. PSL, Los Angeles. Police agencies in the Denver area arrested anti-racist organizers in a coordinated assault today. People were arrested in a Home Depot parking lot at their homes and after they were pulled over while driving. Those arrested were the leaders to demand justice for Elijah McClain, who was brutally murdered by the Aurora Police Department. They are still in jail, with the exception of one person. They are facing multiple felony charges and years in prison, and an obvious frame-up aimed at stopping the movement for justice for Elijah McClain. So
Wow.
the party of socialism and what is it? Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Uh-huh.
This is what they said today, September 17th. So that was yesterday. In Denver, Colorado, law enforcement units arrested several lead organizers of the mass anti-racist movement for Elijah McClain. Russell Rutch was arrested while in a parking lot. Hour later, 5 police cars surrounded and arrested Lillian House while she was driving. SWAT teams arrived at Joel Norham's home and arrested him. As we are writing, we just learned that Elysia Lazuro has been arrested. All four are members of the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
All right.
There may be others. There may be others who have been arrested. They are facing multiple serious felony charges and many misdemeanors, including a bizarre and ludicrous charge of kidnapping, all because they have organized large BLM protests. It's a major political attack on the whole movement and PSL. They're working on a campaign to defeat these phony charges and win their freedom.
No. By the way. Go keep reading, bro.
The movement for justice in the Denver area has been in the streets consistently since the brutal murder of George Floyd and the release of the footage of the Aurora PD's murder of 23-year-old Elijah McClain, which was horrible. These organizers have worked closely with other activists and family members of local police brutality victims to amplify their cases. They have committed no crimes, but only devoted themselves to protesting.
Johnny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Breaking news. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just died.
No, I looked it up. I couldn't find it.
It's just all over.
2 minutes ago, it just put it out. The New York Times just put it out. Fox put it out about 3 minutes ago. Not that what you were saying was so important. Because I think we
we'll
need to
get
get
back
out.
to
I
that.
think we need to get out to Denver now. Really, I
really do.
I really
agree
think
with
we need
that.
to go to Denver. If that's the case,
Should we go to Denver, you guys?
Should we
Let
go
us
to Denver?
know.
I mean, listen. We got to go to the courtroom. We got to go to the arresting officers. We got to go to everything. If this is true, we have to talk about this. We have to be there and stuff like that. If they're arresting protesters like that. Remember the whole thing, Johnny, was, we're going after Antifa. It's all the Antifa, the hidden people, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? That was this thing. These are Black Lives Matter organizers that they're arresting right now.
I mean, not even specifically that organization, but people supporting the movement itself.
We got to go.
And they have the right to support that, even if you don't agree with them. Even if I mean,
and Elijah
to
McClain,
me is like,
too?
how do you not?
Elijah McClain was the one that they should freaking really. That was.
He was autistic, for crying out loud.
And the fact that they can drug somebody.
Yeah.
Some real systemic change should have come out of this. That they can no
Instead,
longer ever drug people.
But instead, they're just jailing the protesters.
Oh my God!
They're not.
Yeah.
Then why do you think people keep protesting? Why do you think then people are going to start to riot when you are, instead of arresting the culprits who did the thing, you are now turning it around and saying, these protesters are now going to be incriminated. And why do you think that eventually people aren't going to get mad and start burning shit everywhere because they're angry because nothing's getting done? I mean, do you see where we're going here? This just makes everything worse. This is fascism.
Johnny's got a video.
And now freaking, oh God, go ahead, Johnny. That music.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was going to be them marching. I
Okay.
haven't seen the video. But, yeah, there you go.
All right, we got to look into that for sure, Johnny. Maybe we might have to make a trip out to Denver. I don't know. I think this should be like really big breaking news right now and stuff. And this is
especially with the bar.
Yeah.
Like, and then Assange, and then what happened here with the journalists and multiple journalists. Like we said, we're on the press freedom tracker. We're on, you know.
It's such crock of shit, man. It's what we either get that or we get a Jackie Lacey, a Kamala Harris kind of bullshit. I mean, it's like we got no choices over here, ladies and gentlemen. It's disgusting. So, reports just in, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has just died at 87 years old, fam. I don't know. I guess I don't think they're going to try to put somebody in before the election right now, but I guess this is going to amplify. Oh, you got to vote for Joe Biden now.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
You got to vote for Joe Biden now.
Yeah.
And what do we get?
And
if it's a Biden or a Trump?
It's a Biden or Trump. That we have seen who Obama put in there. Come on. Let's not pretend that this is like the only thing. And by the way, the Supreme Court, the Democratic courts in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania are ruling in a fascistic way, and they're the ones trying to get the Greens off the ballot. So let's stop playing politics here. I don't think that's going to matter, but it does suck, I think, in the sense if the Trump administration really, just to piss off the Democrats, bless you, tries to actually push somebody through, because I don't put it past them to push somebody through at this point, but it is going to foment the whole you have to vote for Biden and stuff like that. I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for her time, she was progressive in a lot of ways, and her ruling though
Term
wasn't.
Limits, fam. I'm with you. Term limits on these judges.
It wasn't
elected by the people.
Absolutely.
Maybe
they shouldn't be appointed. Why are we? Who decided? I mean, this is just, there should not be back then when the Constitution was established, people didn't have the education they have now. People were
Different
completely
time.
Yeah. Why are people so
the Second Amendment was to defend ourselves. Freaking the
a
British are coming.
It
the
was
British
the
coming.
musket. It wasn't like freaking weapons that we have now. Everything has changed, and people are so hesitant to touch it. But I think we definitely need freaking term limits. This is unacceptable that so much hinges when somebody reaches that age. I don't know, she's 87, right?
87 today.
That's old. These people shouldn't be it's just ridiculous. The whole system has to change. I mean, this is a system collapsing. So as it collapses, we need to put out these ideas that we can implement to set a better foundation, because right now it's just like a mess.
Yeah. Ryan Gorman and Denny McCartney, thank you for joining our
ROKFIN.
Our ROKFIN. If you guys, I don't know if I've gotten Ryan a shirt or Denny a shirt. I don't think I have. But for being on ROKFIN today, we're going to send you some shirts. So hit us up at the Convo Couch at gmail.com. Let me know your size. If you want to get it for your wife or your girlfriend or something else, make sure you let me know men's or females, because a lot of people want to get shirts for their significant other. And we'll send you out a personal shirt from the fam right to you. So let us know. Denny McCartney, Ryan Gorman. That's what you get for going over on a ROKFIN. And not to say we don't love our people on our YouTubes, because we do love our people on our YouTubes. But we also want you to join for ROKFIN for us too as well. We got over 7,000 followers over there, and we want to keep that number growing. And I want to say special thanks to the Patreon people who really help us out every month. But now we're going to have to kick it back into gear. We're going to need a little extra scuttle to maybe go to Denver, because I think Johnny's really pointed out today a very important thing that's happened, something that the mainstream media is not going to cover. And if they can do this kind of thing, listen, First Amendment rights got to be good for all sides. Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, progressives, whoever, we have to be consistent across the board. Everybody has a right to protest. Okay, the government and our local governments, like our Villanuevas and our freaking and the Donald Trump one and his William Barr, are conflating certain individuals and trying to lump that on all the protesters. That's bullshit. The majority of the protesters that we have seen have been peaceful protesters going out there, living within their First Amendment right, protesting within their First Amendment rights, and we need to protect that across the board. And if that's happening in Denver, we need to get to the bottom of this. So.
Agreed, fam. Johnny, anything else?
It was a great show today again, fam. Thank you very much for all watching. Patreons, everything. Go on over, subscribe, like. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay Bird. Absolutely to you, too. For Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
Johnny Sue on the ones and twos. Mama June, we love you.
Convo out.